What's going on, Soul Fam, and welcome to Mira D Tarot. I am Mira D here today with your full moon in Sagittarius / Lunar Eclipse tarot and astrology reading for June the 5th of 2020. To all of my new subscribers, thank you so much for being here. To all of my old subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. And to all of my new viewers, if you like this video and would like to see more of them, please hit the subscribe button down below for new moon, full moon videos with accompanying meditations. All right, y'all, so we're going to get straight into this eclipse. So as we know, eclipses are portals, gateways into a new part of our life. But with those portals, and I'm going to say this first and foremost with this one, with these portals, we tend to have to let go of a lot of things. We have a lot of baggage. We have a lot of things that we have to reflect on. And so this time around with the new moon in Sagittarius, especially with the new moon in Sagittarius squaring Mars, we are at a place where there are battles going on, y'all. Our anger is flaring up. We got Venus in retrograde as well, so our anger is flaring the F up out here. So this may be, and you may be feeling this like a couple weeks in advance, or you may be feeling this like, at months afterward, because with eclipses, the energy tends to linger, and it's not just a singular energy as well. It's not just, oh, here's an eclipse and it's gone. These are progressions. So this energy carries over months and then runs into the next eclipse and then runs into the next eclipse. So y'all better put on y'all healing seatbelts, y'all, because we got 5 more eclipses coming up this year. So we got lots of portals to walk through. This is, as I've been talking about in my last few videos and such, this is go time. The work that we were supposed to be doing and everything months ago, the getting prepared, the figuring out what we're supposed to be doing, who we are, what direction we're moving in and stuff, that time is gone. It's dead and gone. So now it's go time. We have to be on our toes, and we have to be ready right now to be able to react to be able to act toward things, to be able to react to things in a way that is fitting to who we are right now. Because if we haven't done the work, we're going to get our butts kicked by this. We are seriously going to get our butts kicked by this, because we haven't done the work to deal with and start to handle these issues and recognize the things that are coming up for ourselves and everything. So they're going to blindside us if we haven't done the work. So just be prepared. Know that the blindsiding that might come in for those of us who have been kind of avoiding things and stuff like that is still just going to be kind of like the crash course on getting you vibed up to where you need to be at, so to speak. But those of us who have done the work, don't worry, it's still going to be pretty intense for us, but we are more aware of the growth aspect of these things, and we're more aware of where some of these patterns come from and how we're going to handle them a little bit better. So a lot of anger coming up, a lot of aggression, especially in the world of romantic relationships. And I'm also feeling that this is a thing that has to do with our relationships that are closest to us, because our relationships that are closest to us are reflections of ourselves, are reflections and mirrors of the parts of ourselves that still need to heal. So in my personal experience, I've been finding myself becoming quite angry at a lot of like close friends and a lot of like close family and things like that. And what it comes down to is, yes, I am angry at certain ways that I've allowed people to treat me, but at the same time, I'm more so angry at myself for not responding in the way that I should have, for not speaking up for myself. Because 9 chances out of 10 now, I'm gonna say that much, because some people know what the hell they doing. Some people know, but a lot of times people have no idea how they're affecting you, and it is up to you to stand up for yourself, and it's up for you to communicate, especially in the season of Gemini, y'all. We got so much stuff hanging out in Gemini right now, it don't make no sense. So especially in the realm of Gemini, we need to learn how to communicate how we're feeling, what we're feeling. It doesn't have to be at that very moment, because I personally am the type of person who needs to take time to step back and to step away from a situation first and then really assess how I feel, because I don't like to act out of blind rage or and I like to really make sure that I'm staying on point with things, And so my whole point is that we have to teach people how to treat us. That's the biggest thing. And a lot of us expect that people, especially people of the signs of Cancer and, of the signs of Pisces, they tend to expect people to know how to treat them. Just right off the bat. And the thing is that people don't inherently know how to treat anybody, because all of us have different needs. Everything the way we react to things are different. Our upbringing, our backgrounds, our situations, our experiences are different. So we have to be willing to, in an act of self-love, stand up for ourselves. And it doesn't have to be aggressive, and it doesn't have to be malicious, but we need to say, hey, this thing that you did, this isn't working for me. Like, you know, but we also need to stay behind the line of allowing ourselves to understand that people don't have to change anything for you. And this is where we come into, I had a conversation with a friend the other day about boundaries versus ultimatums. And it was a really powerful conversation, because ultimatums is like, I need you to change for me, is what she was saying. She's saying that I need you to change for me, versus a boundary, which is, hey, this is something that I'm not going to tolerate anymore. And a boundary, like, yes, you can set a boundary. You need to verbalize these things and let people know. However, the expectation can't be upon them changing. The expectation has to be upon you deciding to take further action if that thing isn't met for you, but it doesn't prompt them to change, you know? And so that's kind of where we are now, is at a place of setting boundaries. And especially with Mars being in Pisces, a lot of our anger and a lot of our aggression is coming from past events. It's coming from the place of things that have happened to us before, not necessarily maybe the way people are treating us now, but it's coming from more so of the place of how people have treated us in the past and what we've allowed people to get away with. And so just really pay attention to that. And, you know, there's always that saying about, like, you know, when a couple is arguing about the toppings on a pizza, it's not about the pizza. It's so not about the pizza. It's so much deeper than that. It's about all the things that haven't been said and all the communication that hasn't been had, that's still just kind of sitting there, and, like, you know, we're waiting on people to solve those problems for us. But we have to be proactive, and we have to take our own steps towards solving these problems. So with this eclipse, the best way that I can say to be prepared is to right now start meditating, because we're already feeling the effects of this. We're already feeling the effects of the eclipse that's coming up here in about 10 days. So just go ahead and, like, start to, like, work on meditation, start to work on journaling, start to find ways to become a person who is able to take action rather than reacting to all the external stimuli that comes into your life and things like that. And so this eclipse, if no other one, is going to teach you the importance of doing the work beforehand if you haven't been doing it. So just know that life is just full of lessons, and that it's just we're just progressing on the way, and that everything we're learning is going to benefit us in the future. So we're just raising the vibe, y'all, and it might suck, and we might, you know, lose friendships, or we might strengthen friendships, or, you know, we might lose love relationships and things like that. But it is okay. It is all in the name of growth. So, and it sucks. That's just how it is sometimes. So there's a lot of Venus being in retrograde. Also, this is a lot of internal focus on where you lie and where you stand in your life at this moment too. So there's a lot of, like, kind of internal work going on here. We've got a lot in Gemini, so a lot of us are being forced to communicate. Mercury is in Gemini. Venus is also in Gemini. The sun is in Gemini, so we have a lot of this Gemini energy. So we're being forced to communicate and forced to speak and find ways to communicate the things that we are feeling, which can be difficult. You can check out my meditation that I posted for the new moon in Gemini if you would like to learn a little bit more about paying attention to your feelings and how you can learn to express those. I'll post the link down below for you for the new moon meditation, because it doesn't get old. You can use that until whenever. So yeah, so basically with Venus in retrograde, we are paying attention to our relationships that are close to us. This varies and differs based on the aspect of based on where your Venus is in your chart and all that good stuff. But what I've mainly been seeing is a lot of, like, inner reflection on where I am in life, and as far as other people, I've been seeing a lot of reflection on where they are, and in reference to their relationships, how their relationships are benefiting the person that they are right now, and how their relationships are affecting where they are right now, and how they work in relation to, because a lot of times we have friends from way back in the day, or we've been in a relationship for 10 years, and as we've grown, that relationship hasn't necessarily grown with us and hasn't necessarily grown for us. And so when it comes down to it, a lot of the times we are bickering and fighting and butting heads because we're refusing to see that these energies no longer match up, you know. And it's not to say that they won't match up in the future, and it's not to say that it's anyone's fault or that it's a good or a bad thing. It just is. And as we grow and as we change, the things around us will, the things around us do. And we have to allow those changes to happen naturally. We have to allow that flow to go ahead and kick in, and allow ourselves to trust that there's something that matches with who we are coming for us here in the future. So Because it always is. Once you leave, let something out of your life anyway, something new comes in. And if we're going to be our highest and best selves, we got to get out of this codependence mentality. We've got to, oh, well, I have to be there for that person, or this mentality of, oh, what is that person going to do without me? They're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. How many times in life has this happened before? You know, it's always going to be figured out. And it is very, I don't really, what's the word? It's a very kind of selfish mentality to believe that someone is going to fail at their life and their own lessons and things because you aren't there. So that's what we need to look at as well. Is like, who are you, you know, to decide that this person isn't going to be able to handle this journey without you? Who are you to decide that you are so, like, you know, yeah, we're all important, but who are you to decide that you're so important that you're the make or break of this person's life, and that they can't, and who are you to hold them back from their lessons as well, you know? Because just like you have something to learn by letting them go, they have something to learn by you leaving too. Just like you have something to learn by speaking your mind, they have something to learn also by receiving what it is that you're saying. And you know, so it's all this whole back and forth thing. Life is a big old classroom, and if we're not allowing people to experience, then we're cutting first off ourselves out of the experience, and second off, like, it's kind of vain to think that you that deal. I mean, you can be, you might be, but you know what I'm saying. So what it comes down to with all of this and stuff, we've got, I mean, a lot of the placements are similar to how they have been. There aren't a lot of giant planetary movements happening at the moment. So Venus is in Gemini. Mercury is also in Gemini. We'll be moving into Cancer here soon. And then we have Jupiter still hanging out in Capricorn. So our luck, our wishes, the way that we're going to expand, all of those things are going to come in the form of living our purpose. And Pluto is also hanging out in Capricorn. And so with Pluto in Capricorn, we are breaking down the old paradigm in business and in career, the old construct that we have surrounding work, business, career, and what we're building in this world is breaking down. And we're stepping into a place where we are now going from the 9 to 5 into a place of becoming entrepreneurs and becoming of service to the world, instead of service to the world and to the collective, and putting our gifts out there that we were born here, our God-given, universe-given, ancestrally given, our gifts. We're putting those things out here and everything, and that's where we're at now. So we're not standing at the bottom of the corporate ladder anymore, like, you know, making money for the big guy. We're all kind of being moved toward and geared toward, a lot of us are being geared toward moving into our purpose, starting our own businesses, really living from the heart. And so what Jupiter is saying in that space is that as long as we are continuing to shift and move with the times and continuing to be leaders by doing so, that whatever we need is going to come for us, so long as we are living from the heart and trusting that it will. So nothing is going to come for you. Your highest self isn't going to come from sticking to safety and sticking to comfort. Your luck and all of your expansion is going to come through stepping into your truth and your highest power. So moving forward from that, we also have Saturn in Aquarius. Again, our responsibility is to humanity, is to the collective, whereas we're moving from a place where our responsibility was to building and to creating in this world. And to, like I was saying earlier, when I with Pluto, we're now moving to a point where our responsibility is to humanity, is to the service of the collective, is to those around us and stuff like that. And so what we learn is that by putting ourselves first and by taking care of ourselves, we are able to be what we need to be for the collective. We are able to stand in our own power and inspire the collective. We are able to inspire people and show them how to become and we're able to inspire people and allow them to for themselves become curious enough to step into who they truly are. And so that's the real beauty of what's going on in this world. So yeah, just prepare for a lot of anger, and remember too, another thing I want to say about that is when I say anger, we have such a negative connotation, like toward the emotion of anger, because a lot of the spiritual community is always talking about, like, you know, these low grade vibrations and these low grade emotions and all this stuff, you know. And so people usually look at anger as this low grade thing, and then there are the people who are always, like, you know, trying to repress the angry side of themselves while always living in this spiritually understanding place, you know? And so the thing is that, like, that's cool and all, but at the same time, it's super inauthentic, just like straight up. Anger is part of the way that we change. Anger is a part of how we grow. Anger is an emotion that needs to be expressed. It doesn't make you not spiritual to express your anger. It doesn't make you, I mean, it's some people out here that need a spiritual butt whooping. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't promote violence. I'm just joking, but I'm just saying that, like, you know, the spirituality it includes all things, because if you think about the universe is expressing itself through each and every one of us. The universe is the whole, the all of these things exist within the all. So we need to understand that they are a part of nature. They are a part of what's going on here. So with the anger and stuff, anger is the fuel for change. And with being spiritual, the way I think of it is that spirit is who we are. Ritual is a practice. And so spiritual is a practice of who we are. And so if we can get into that mindset of spiritual not looking like this thing that we see on TV, not flowy skirts and soft voices and, like, you know, crystal stones hanging all off your neck, which all that stuff is great and it's magical tools. And I respect people that have those things. But at the same time, we need to understand that spirituality is a way of being. It is not a costume. It is not a trend. It is not a soft voice. If you naturally got a soft voice, then, you know, congratulations. But I'm just saying that we need to get more into the authenticity of spirituality and stop making it feel like it's this pedestal or like this special thing that only these elite people get to be a part of. Like, what? We are all a part of the universe, sitting and standing right here where we are at this moment. So yeah, so that's the whole thing. That's it at the end of the day. So anger, let your anger flow and see what your anger and your other emotions are trying to tell you. That's the thing, is all of our emotions are always speaking to us. Everything, our body is constantly communicating to us. Our minds are communicating to us. Our environments are communicating back to us who we are. We have instant reflection of who we are or what we're doing, or based on the things that we see in our outer world. It's a reflection. So what is your anger trying to tell you? Is your anger trying to tell you that you need to speak up for yourself? Is your anger trying to tell you that you don't love this person anymore? Is your anger trying to tell you that this doesn't fit with your soul anymore? Is your anger trying to tell you that there's something inside of you that this affects? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it saying? Don't repress it, because this is how you're going to grow. Same with the ego. Don't repress it, because when you can learn to see what the ego is saying and understand where the ego, you can learn to see what the ego is saying and understand what these habits represent, then you can learn to break those habits down and heal those parts of yourself that have allowed these habits to become your identity. So yeah, and that's all. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that I would like to say about this whole thing, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into the tarot aspect of this whole thing, so hang tight. All right, so fam, so I'm going to go ahead and get into the tarot aspect of this whole thing. I will be reading with the Thoth deck today based on ancient Egyptian magic and Hermetic principles. It is a really great deck. I feel like I read more intuitively with this deck because it is more so based on sacred geometry, vibration, and symbolism. More so than the other ones. This is based in some deep Hermetic type stuff, which to me taps a little bit more into my intuition. Although I do love the Rider-Waite. The Rider-Waite is great too. I like them for different reasons, which is Rider-Waite is what I started with. And so I also have the Native Healing Oracle, which I'm going to pull a card from at the end of this reading for our whole collective guidance on getting through this crazy time with all this past stuff coming up and this angry, beautiful angry energy coming up for us. So I'm going to start with pulling what we're letting go of, what we're bringing in, and then how we can prepare for this. Okay, so let's start with what we're letting go of. Well, maybe I'll shuffle these mugs first. Let's do that. Yep, so all right, shuffle them up. Pull some of them old spades tricks. All right. So let's see what we are letting go of. So we firstly have the Three of Swords. We have the Five of Wands. Lots and lots of difficulty. We have the Three of Discs. We have the Four of Swords. So we're still in the early stages is what I'm really seeing right now. We are in the early stages of this whole thing, which it makes sense because I'm making this video a bit early for everybody because I can feel that this energy is coming up for a lot of people. So I want to go ahead and get this out here so we can kind of have more of an understanding before we're like, you know, in the weeds with this mess. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is the Three of Swords, which is a necessary sorrow. The Five of Wands, which talks about battles around us, like little external battles and things like that, like butting heads with people. We have the Four of Swords, which is a truce, which is we're coming to a place of working these out. And then the Three of Discs here, which is all about working things out. And so what we're seeing here right now is that it's not anything that's too major or anything that's like super crazy. It's not like this big life-changing huge event, but what it is more so we're letting go of these old aspects of ourselves that don't know how to work with, like, you know, that don't know how to work with who we are now and things like that. And so, and letting go of these old people and things as well. As I said before, the thing with this, though, is that the things that we're letting go of, though, we know mentally that this is a good decision. Logically, we know it's a good decision, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt any less or that it doesn't suck any less. But sometimes, and I think especially in the spiritual community, we forget how important logic is. And so, we have all of these things for a reason, and we have to understand that we do live in a physical world and that the physical world does matter. And so with the Three of Swords coming up here, it's like the logical part of it. Yeah, we can act on our emotions and things sometimes, but then there's also a time and a place to use logic. Like a good example of that would be you're in a relationship with somebody that you feel emotionally close to. However, you logically know that they aren't treating you right and that you deserve better, you know, and the emotion, if you react to that in an emotional way, then you're going to end up staying in a situation that you logically know isn't working for you, you know. And so sometimes it's a good thing to step away and use logic, but other times it's a good thing to follow the heart. So we do see what's happening right now, and what we're letting go of is like we're letting go of all of these struggles and strifes in our lives to create balance in our lives, to create a truce, to create things that are progressive in our lives and things. So what I also see with the threes coming up here in this position as well is that these are all the very divine things that are coming up for us. These are all very divine things. This is like the Holy Trinity. The number 3 is super important. And so these are all very divine things coming through. So it's one of those things that's a blessing in disguise, and you'll be able to see later on what these events all are going toward and stuff like that, because you might not be able to see it now from where you're standing, which is usually the case. So what we're bringing in is releasing anything what we're bringing in is our full creative power, like the real power, true power of who we are. We see ourselves moving forward proudly, full of pride. We see ourselves unafraid and really grasping onto and taking control of the power that is us, the power of creation that is us. And so what I see also is the Princess of Swords. So also the thing that I'm seeing in this place is that we're bringing in people who more so resonate with the person that we are now. And so I see cutting through a lot of a lot of illusions and a lot of old mental cobwebs and things like that. This is what we're bringing in, people who help us to see more clearly our vision, and people who help us to expand into our highest and truest selves, who we are meant to be. We see the devil as well, breaking through and letting go of the chains that bind us. And so we see the Six of Wands. So a lot of your help and a lot of the things that are going to help you to move into this next phase of yourself are going to come from almost like an outside perspective, because what happens is, and I know people are like, don't look at the outside, but the outside is a reflection of our inner world. So if you look at the Six of Wands, which is victory and which is usually outside recognition, we see that we start to really see our worth through the people that we're attracting now. And this helps us to break our chains. This helps us to release the things that are holding us back in a place of fear. Because if you can look at these two cards, you can see the true and like the true energy, the energetic difference in the two. Now you got the Devil here, and you see like this trappedness, like this feeling of like isolation. It's a very cold feeling card, and that's where you are in this moment, like sticking to old habits and not allowing things to change. But then you see the energy of this, which is expansive, is very, very obscure. You can see that there's a lot of possibility in this card. You can see that there's a lot of expansion, growth, creation happening in this card. So that's really something to look at here. So what we're bringing in is the recognition of old habits and patterns, looking at the outside world to see what our natural vibration is when we don't have these other things and people surrounding us. Like, yeah, so that's a really good thing. So for instance, a good example might be like, you start attracting people who all own their own businesses already. So then you know that your natural vibration is somebody who is also independent and an entrepreneur type of person as well, and maybe you've been hanging out with people from the past, like, that don't serve the person that you are, and you can feel that, or maybe you start to attract people who are, I don't know, doing a lot of self-work and who like to talk about the self-work that they're doing. And so then you can see also that you're in a place reflectively, you're in a place too where that self-work is being done as well. So that's all I'm saying up in here. So we got a lot of opportunity coming in for us here. And so how can we cope with this? That's the big thing. Let's see. How can we cope with this whole thing? All right. So we got to look at the things around us. Also, like the devil was saying here, with the Prince of Swords too, we see a lot of people on strings. So we need to look around us and see what things are controlling our lives, what things are keeping us trapped, what things are not allowing us to move forward. And we need to balance those things out justly and fairly with logic. Again, so logic is a huge thing coming in here. We got a lot of air cards, and especially in the season of air with Gemini and all this air energy, it is definitely a time for balancing things in the mind, balancing things with logic, and kind of letting those emotions set to the side for a minute, don't repress them. That's not what I'm saying. Like, don't repress them, but recognize them, pay attention to them, use them as tools, understand what they're trying to say to you, and then logically balance these things out in your life. So what's going to help us in this as well is the Knight of Wands, taking chances, being spontaneous, allowing yourself to step out into the world and to start to see what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Like some of us, are more in tune with ourselves and some of us are not. But what feels good to you is a very good way to start to be in tune with yourself and everything. Try something new, be adventurous. You never know where you might end up. And with the Seven of Wands here as well, we see that the battle, realizing that a lot of these things come from the inside of you, the battle is inside of you, is what the Seven of Wands comes with. So recognizing what's going on within you is a big thing. And there's a lot of fire energy, y'all. And just in case y'all didn't notice, there's a lot of fire energy. And this is the energy of burning down the old and burning out the old, and growing something new and beautiful from the ashes. So that's the main thing that I'm seeing here. So figuring out what's got you on a string is going to be the biggest thing, and being honest with yourself, being completely honest with yourself about what does have you, what's holding you back, what things do you need to let go of, what's controlling your life right now, and balancing those things out for yourself. Also, the Queen of Discs is somebody who is very in touch with themselves and stuff. So that's a huge thing as far as advice goes, is to just make sure that you're in touch with yourself and make sure that you know who you are. And when I say know who you are, I'm not talking about the identities and I'm not talking about the identities that we place upon ourselves. I'm talking about I'm a chef, or I do this thing, I do that thing. No, I'm talking about inside, who you truly are. Get in touch with yourself on all levels. The Queen of Discs is all about our sensuality and the things that are in this physical world that are concrete and make us who we are. So that's what I'm seeing there. And so as far as our card and our general guidance that we've got going on here, Let's see, native hearts. Our general guidance. We've got the record keeper as our card for the general guidance right here. You can see that very beautiful card. Nice mandala. Okay, so we got the record keeper, which is number 4. All right, your divine path, shared learning, the wisdom of an elder. This mandala holds the energy of the great halls of wisdom and brings forth divine guidance of the ancient ways. The great halls of wisdom contain all that we are and have been. It is a library of divine wisdom that, just as each soul continues to grow, is ever evolving. The great halls contain divine blueprints or one's Akashic records. Beyond the earthly plane, the record keeper also contains ancient keys that can unlock sacred teachings from the advanced civilizations that inhabit alternative planes of existence. To access information from the Great Hall of Wisdom, one must listen with an open heart and with no expectation, for there is a consciousness held within, and only those that seek a pure intention will gain entry. You are being called to bring higher ways of being into your present life for the greater good. This mandala seeks to unite each person, one at a time, to increase awareness and expansion by harmoniously blending ancient ways within a modern time. It is time for you to be aware of the birth of a melodic sound vibration that will sing to the song lines across the globe. All right, soul fam, so there you have it. We got a lot of wild energy coming up here over these next few weeks, these next few months, the rest of this year. So just go ahead and brace yourself, prepare yourself in the best way that you can, and allow these things to happen. Know that they are happening for a reason. And even if they suck, if you have the awareness that this is just a part of your growth, it helps you to understand that it's not as bad as it seems, okay? And so remember that angry energy is not bad energy. It is the fuel for change. It is burning down, it's fire energy. It is burning down the old to make way for the new. It is teaching us what things we will and won't tolerate anymore. It's showing us where we still need to grow, where we still need to heal, especially in the season of Gemini. It's showing us where we still need to communicate and where we need to learn those things as well. So also with a lot of relationship stuff coming up or whatnot, we are assessing, is this the best that we can do? Are things going to get better? Like, am I happy right now? So that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing for us in this moment. And so as far as that goes, all I can say is just hold on tight and hang in there. I'll see y'all next video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope y'all have an amazing eclipse. Celebrate your life, celebrate everything that's going on. Allow yourself to step into this energy ready. We are all warriors out here. We have chosen our mission and we're going in full force. All right. So I hope everybody has an amazing full moon. And eclipse. I will see y'all next time. Until then, peace.